Right, so how many times have we heard that we have to vote Labour to get the Tories out? I get it all the time in my comments. You're a Tory, aren't you, Damo? You keep putting the boot into Labour. Why are you so mean to Keir Starmer? Why do you keep calling him Keith? Why are you so determined to keep the Tories in, Damo? You're only helping the Tories by attacking the great and all-powerful Keith Stalin Damo. 3 bags full, the Tories, Damo. Well, if that were the case, and I'm so wrong about Starmer being a Tory, he said it himself now, of course, lest I forget to mention it later on, then how come his Labour Party are now in formal coalition agreements, pretty much, with the Tories, and indeed worse? Local elections throw up all kinds of administrative issues when they try to sort themselves out after an election, particularly in councils where no one party has overall control. An administration has to be formed somehow to run things. Alliances need to be made to one extent or another. There's a few examples where Labour have done the absolute unthinkable since the recent local elections, and there's a bit of a common theme running through all of them. Let's have a look at the Wirral, first of all, the Northwest. It's a council in no overall control, 66 seats on that council, all of which were up for grabs earlier this month. Labour gained 2 seats, but remained 4 seats short of a majority. So who to do a deal with? 6 Lib Dems, 17 Tories and 13 Greens. Progressiveness. Well, what to do? Well, the deal had already been done, apparently, before the local elections even took place, as wannabe Labour Council leader Paul Stuart, the former deputy leader, featured prominently in the Jazeera Labour Files documentaries, no less, and not in a good way, was doing deals with Tory councillors, offering them key positions to support him in his bid to become council leader after the elections, as well as apparently offering the same position to various different Labour councillors. I'm not sure how that will have ended up working out for him. But functionally, this Labour right-winger went into the elections with a game plan of wooing the Tories to get put in the top job, and he succeeded. Having pulled that off, the committee chairmanships were then dished out, and despite getting 22% of the Wirral vote in these elections, the 13 Green Councillors have been frozen out of every committee chair post. Labour happy to appoint Tories and Lib Dems as chairs and vice chairs, however. This is a sign of progressiveness, is it? This is a progressive party. This is who we need to get in for change, is it? Teaming up with the Tories and Lib Dems? This is an anti-democratic establishment stitch-up from a right-wing councillor and other right-wingers they clearly feel closer to. Green co-leader on the council, Joe Bird, has said elected Green councillors have been excluded by unfair and undemocratic Labour Conservative coalition in Wirral. The Labour Party is not what it says on the tin. If you vote Labour, you get Labour Conservative coalition. And you can't argue with that, because that is exactly what Wirral now has. But they're just one example. Let's take a look at East Suffolk Council. Suffolk proving to be a hugely strong showing for the Greens as they again stripped the Tories of majority control, not just on this council, but across Suffolk, leaving this particular council, though, without a party majority administration, no overall control. Now, the Greens gained 12 seats here, raising them to be the largest party represented on the council, and indeed they have formed the administration together with the Lib Dems and one independent, which just gives them a majority administration. There's 55 seats on East Suffolk Council, 28 in this leadership group now, versus an opposition consisting of 27 Tories and Labour councillors combined. The Tories and Labour have aligned themselves quite happily, it seems, as they've been intent on voting down basically anything this administration is trying to get passed. Every single vote so far has seen the Tories and Labour join together to vote against this new progressive administration. Not a fag paper between them. They are functionally exactly the same here. It's not even just at local council level changes that things like this have been made, as the Labourers have stood by the Tories against the Greens repeatedly, though. Changes made at the AGM on Hastings Borough Council. They didn't have elections this time around. A 32-seat council, however, which saw the Labour group with 15 councillors there, therefore just shy of a majority by 1, decided to go into coalition with the single Reform UK councillor there, using the mayor's casting vote thereafter to seize control of every chair and vice chair position in a blatant power grab across the council. They chose to align with the far right, a guy booted out of the Tories apparently, who then joined Reform because they'll take anybody, when Labour could have chosen a more progressive route, aligning itself with the 5 Green councillors on Hastings Council instead. Now, there's a bit more to this story. Hastings had its local elections last year in 2022, and the Greens again had success, winning 3 additional seats for their party on the council and taken the council into no overall control. Labour at that point agreed to work in cooperation with the Greens, which they did until October of last year, when the National Labour Party, so we're now talking Starmer and his lackey David Evans in all likelihood, threatened Labour Council leader Paul Barnett with expulsion if the two Green portfolio holders, as part of this cooperative, were not removed and replaced. He bowed to pressure and the Greens dissolved their alliance as a consequence. The National Party interfering at a local level, but when you see them happy to work with the Tories elsewhere, not interceding there, yet are avowedly anti-Green, as has been proven in Hastings. No longer is that excuse of voting Labour to get the Tories out going to wash. They are Tories. They are running exactly like the Tories. They're behaving exactly like the Tories. They are led by a self-confessed Tory in Keir Starmer. They align themselves with Tories. They are not progressive, therefore. They are more of the same. Establishment figures just waiting for their turn to take over control and power as the media gives them their assent. The Green surge during this year's local elections was quite real. Taken as a sign, this is where progressive politics now lies, taking voters from across the political spectrum attracted by transformative policies on one hand and the need to put climate and environmental protections at the heart of that in tandem at the other. Anyone who says to you, you're a Tory for refusing to vote Labour, will just ask them why so many councils have Labour working with the Tories on them then. East Suffolk, Hastings, the Wirral, Cherwell, Banbury. The list is growing as councils sort themselves out, organise themselves, and expose what is a concerted anti-Green agenda appearing across the country, despite what people voted for. An anti-change agenda. That's what the Greens represent. That's seeing Labour and the Tories repeatedly across the country working together now to block. The Green Party really are the ones now scaring the establishment, providing the real opposition to today's depressing, samey, nothing will change no matter who is in charge politics. And that is clear because of how they are being treated now. People voted Green, voted for change, and every establishment party is using every dirty trick in the book to freeze them out wherever they can, it would seem. We need to keep electing more Greens, to make those standing against them more powerless, make the Greens more powerful. We need more people standing for them, and after you've liked, shared and subscribed, shocked and appalled at why you've not heard more about this, having a small epiphany that this particular channel is one you have to follow to remain clued up on such things, well, let me regale you with more reasons to back the Greens in my post-election Green Party analysis vid right here. And be sure to check out the hundreds of other videos I have on offer, of course, by sticking with the channel a bit longer. And I will, of course, catch you on the next video. Cheers, folks.